Hey everyone, it's Jorik. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for your continued support of the channel. I greatly appreciate it. I wanted to make this video about those of you that have a car or are considering getting a vehicle in Portugal, knowing the speed limits, some of those. I did a video recently on some unique driving laws throughout the EU, but here I wanted to talk about Portugal and a couple of things. The types of fines and the actual fine amounts. And they are divvied up a little bit between the city or the country or more rural driving. But many of you are considering living in areas where you're going to get a car, or let's say the Algarve, Lisbon, Porto, even like major cities like Lisbon and Porto, you're going to get a vehicle. So you need to know what the speed limits are and what the potential fines are in case you get pulled over. So first, let's talk about the types of fines. So in Portugal, they define it in the city area. So in city areas, if you're doing up to 20 kilometers per hour over, it's considered a light fine. You'll get a light one. 20 to 40 kilometers per hour over, it's considered a serious offense or a serious fine. 40 to 60 kilometers over, very serious. And over 60 kilometers, very serious. So essentially anything over 40 kilometers is considered very serious by Portuguese law. Now the speeds, when you're looking in the country or the rural areas, it's anything up to 30 kilometers over is considered a light offense or potentially a light fine. 30 to 60 kilometers, serious. 60 to 80 kilometers over, very serious. And then anything over 80 kilometers, very serious. So again, in short, anything over 60 kilometers in driving a rural area, you're going to have potentially a very serious fine ahead of you if you get stopped. So here, what are the fines? How are they defined? So here goes. A light fine could be anywhere from 60 euros to 300 euros. So it's a pretty wide margin that you might have to pay if you happen to be stopped, or if on a photo radar you are driving at a certain speed limit. Serious fines could be anywhere from 120 euros up to 600 euros. Possibility of losing your license or inability to drive for 1 to 2 months, and then potentially a loss of 2 points on your record. So depending on, I think many countries have a point system. If you get so many points, then you lose your driving privileges. So there would be potentially 2 points on the record. So that's something that would maybe prevent people from speeding. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And then lastly, the very serious offense. So if you're speeding 40 or more kilometers per hour in the city or 60 or more in the more rural area, you're looking at, in the city, $300 to $600 as a fine. If you're in the country or rural setting, that could be 500 up to 2,500 euros. So a huge spread there, and potentially 2,500 euros. That's a huge fine. Of course, that may be someone that's going, let's say, 100 kilometers over, maybe more. But just I wanted you to know that that could potentially be out there. Loss of driving privileges, not able to drive at all. You could lose your license for up to 2 years. So those are all possibilities. And then 4 points would be added to your record. So that is something that hopefully, if you're driving around, if you're going 5 to 10 kilometers over in any type of case, it doesn't seem like that's much of an issue, whether you're in the city or the country. But I wanted to make you aware that a gentleman on a consult had asked questions about getting a vehicle, and then he asked a question about the speed limits and the fines, and I didn't know them, so I looked them up, and I thought it would be a helpful video for those of you that are thinking about getting a vehicle. Also, if you have, I hate to say this, if you've been fined, or if you haven't, if you've been pulled over, or you have been, photo radar has marked you for speeding, have you received a ticket? Have you received a fine? Have you paid the fine? Please leave a comment one way or the other, because I'm curious to see, based upon what this outline is here by the Portuguese government, if indeed they enforce this and this is true to form, or if you've driven whatever speed limit you wanted without repercussions. I'm always curious to hear that because we don't have a car. This is sort of unproven and unknown ground to me. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video and enjoy your travels.